Okay, so we're diving deep into the Silo series today,
Yeah?
and you've given us quite the collection of excerpts.
Mm-hmm.
Wool, shift, dust, even Silo stories.
A lot to cover.
Yeah, this is like the whole Silo saga. You're really throwing us into the deep end with this dystopian world.
Well, yeah, I think it's a fascinating world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
We're dealing with a fragmented narrative.
Right.
And it spans generations. We're talking about the
yeah.
whole history of these silos.
Mhm.
And our mission here is to not only piece together this complex timeline, but to unearth the deeper meaning behind it all.
Yeah, and I think what better place to start than with the setting itself?
Okay, sure.
You know, it's not just any post-apocalyptic world.
Right.
This is a world confined within these massive,
Yeah.
self-sustaining structures.
Yeah?
Why are they living in silos in the first place?
Well, the excerpts kind of paint a picture of a world that's been ravaged by some unknown catastrophe.
Right.
Something so terrible it forced humanity underground. But what I find really intriguing is the belief
Mm-hmm.
that's carefully maintained, by the way, by those in power,
Yeah.
that the outside world is toxic
Oh, yeah.
and uninhabitable.
It's like a lie, right?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it really toxic? Or is this like a carefully crafted lie to keep the population under control?
It's like one giant social experiment.
Mm.
Like, how will people react when their entire reality is dictated by the confines of this silo?
Yeah. I mean, it really makes you think about the nature of reality
Literally.
and control, right?
And that idea is constantly reinforced through the pact, right? It's not just a set of rules. It feels like a binding agreement to maintain this manufactured reality.
Yeah, right.
Like, this is how we live, and you don't question it.
Exactly. The pact governs every aspect of silo life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Resource allocation, daily routines,
Everything.
even the way they think about the world.
Yeah.
And any deviation from the norm is met with some pretty swift and often brutal consequences.
And that brings us to what I think is probably the most chilling example of how the silo maintains order.
Okay.
And that's the ritual of the cleaning.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about keeping the sensors clean, right?
Right.
It's a carefully orchestrated spectacle of fear and control, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The very act of expressing a desire
Right.
to see the outside world
Yeah.
is met with this,
Death sentence.
yeah, you could call it that, this ritualistic death sentence, guised as a chance for freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it for a second.
Okay.
They dress the condemned in this special suit, give them tools to clean the sensors, and send them out to their inevitable demise.
Yeah, it's messed up.
And it sends a powerful message, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
To anyone who dares even question.
The status quo.
Exactly.
We see this early on with Holston, right?
Yeah.
The sheriff of Silo 18.
Right.
He just chooses to clean seemingly out of the blue. It's kind of a mystery.
Leaving behind this mystery,
Mm-hmm.
that really drives the narrative.
It does.
Why do you think Holston made that decision?
Well, on the surface, it appears to be an act of despair.
Uh-huh.
But the excerpts hint at something more, you know?
Yeah.
A calculated move, perhaps?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he was the sheriff.
Right.
He had access to information.
That others didn't.
Exactly.
So his death isn't just a tragic event. It's the key that unlocks the whole mystery.
It is.
And that's where Juliet comes in.
So
She inherits Holston's position as sheriff
Mm-hmm.
and his cell.
Yes.
And that's where she finds all these secret files.
Right.
And unlike so many others who just accept the silo's reality,
Right.
Juliet is driven by this relentless curiosity.
She is.
She doesn't want to just like maintain order. She wants to understand the truth, even if it puts her in danger.
Which it does.
Yeah.
Very much so.
She's a very interesting character.
Oh, she's a fascinating character.
She's a break in that cycle, you know,
Mm-hmm.
of blind obedience.
Totally.
Her background as a mechanic,
Right.
her pragmatism,
Uh-huh.
and her sharp intellect make her the perfect foil
Oh, yeah.
to the silo's very rigid power structure.
She's not afraid to get her hands dirty.
Nope.
Literally and figuratively.
That's true.
And her investigation into Holston's death leads her down this rabbit hole
It does.
of secrets and lies. And ultimately, she uncovers this web of corruption that reaches the very highest levels.
Yeah, she really starts to unravel things.
Of the silo's authority.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out there's so much more to this world than meets the eye.
There is.
And just when we think we're starting to understand the inner workings of Silo 18,
Yeah.
we get introduced to Silo 1.
Right.
A whole new set of characters.
Mm-hmm.
What is the significance of this parallel storyline?
Well, I think the introduction of Silo 1 really adds a whole new dimension to the narrative.
Yeah.
It reveals that Silo 18 isn't unique. It's part of a larger network of silos,
Right.
each with its own history
Mm-hmm.
and secrets.
Okay.
And through Donald, a congressman from Silo 1,
Yeah.
we get a glimpse of this shadowy organization known as the Order.
The Order. Okay.
Yeah, they seem to be the ones pulling the strings,
Oh.
orchestrating events across multiple silos.
So there's an even bigger power structure
It seems that.
beyond the individual silos. It's like a conspiracy
You could say that.
within a conspiracy.
Yeah, it gets pretty complex.
And Donald just stumbles upon this truth
He does.
quite by accident.
Mhm.
And his journey from congressman
Right.
to this caretaker role
Mhm.
is a microcosm of those larger themes of control and manipulation.
It really is.
He gets chosen by the Order to be responsible for a whole silo.
Yeah,
He's tasked with ensuring its survival and carrying out their directives.
which is a huge responsibility.
Yeah, and it seems like even though his story's set in a different silo, it mirrors so many of the themes of Silo 18.
It does.
They're both grappling with the consequences
Right.
of uncovering a truth they weren't meant to know.
Exactly.
And what's striking is that those in power,
Mhm.
whether it's the Order or the authorities within the silos,
Yeah,
they use information control
they do.
to maintain their grip
It's a classic tactic.
on the population.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This theme is woven throughout the excerpts,
It is.
from the wall screens that depict a fabricated outside world
Mm-hmm.
to the carefully curated history
Right.
and even the pact itself. It's like
Yeah.
they control the narrative.
They can control the narrative. They control the people.
It's a chilling question. How can anyone fight back when the very reality they live in is a fabrication?
That's the challenge Juliet faces.
Right.
She's uncovering the truth, but what can she do about it?
This is where things get really interesting.
All right.
Hold on.
Okay.
We're just scratching the surface here.
We are.
There's so much more to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just getting started
We'll dive deeper in part 2.
right after this.
Stay tuned.
We left off talking about Juliet finding out all this stuff. And Donald, right.
Yeah.
He's kind of thrust into this position of power he didn't even ask for.
Mm-hmm.
These excerpts you've given us,
Yeah.
they don't really explicitly say,
Right.
like, what the outside world is like.
Right.
But we get glimpses.
Get hints. Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Like, Donald, during, like, his work on Operation 50,
Right.
he sees a scorched landscape.
He does.
Okay.
Kind of reinforces the idea that something terrible happened, right?
Right.
To the world.
Yeah, but it also raises more questions than it answers.
He does.
Like, what exactly was Operation 50?
Yeah.
Was it like this last-ditch effort to save something
Right.
from the old world?
Possibly. Yeah.
It sounds ominous.
It does. It does.
Operation 50.
Yeah.
And it's tied to these cryogenic pods, right?
Yeah.
Like, Donald finds his sister, Charlotte, in
Right.
one.
Yeah.
So it seems like the Order, they're not just focused on
Right.
surviving the present.
Mm-hmm.
They're like curating
Yeah, you could say that
who gets to inhabit the future.
it's selective survival.
Wow.
Very carefully controlled.
Yeah, like the Order is deciding who gets preserved
Mm-hmm.
and presumably like what kind of world they wake up to. It makes
Right.
you wonder, like, what are they trying to achieve
Yeah.
with this thaw that Donald mentions?
Yeah. It's not clear, is it?
Are they rebuilding
Hmm.
or are they creating something entirely new?
Yeah, good question.
So creepy. It's not just like an apocalypse.
Right.
It's a designed future, like molded according to the Order's vision.
Right.
Makes the information control within the silos even more disturbing.
It does.
It's not just about like keeping people calm.
Right.
It's about shaping their understanding of the world, past, present, and future.
Absolutely. They control the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
They control the people.
The wall screens are the most obvious example.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Controlled by IT.
Yeah.
They just feed the silo residents
Uh-huh.
this carefully constructed image of what's outside,
Mm-hmm.
but it goes deeper than that.
It does.
Remember Lucas
Oh, yeah.
and the book
Mm.
that Bernard gives him?
Yeah, with the history.
Yeah, it contains like the silo's history, right?
Uh-huh.
And emergency protocols.
Right. It's like their Bible.
Oh, wow.
Everything they need to know.
So controlling information is one thing.
Yeah.
But controlling history, that's a whole other level.
It is. It's rewriting the past
Yeah.
to fit their narrative,
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that future generations inherit this version of reality
Wow.
that serves the Order.
So they're maintaining their power across generations?
Exactly. They control the past.
Yeah.
They control the future.
And in this world of, like, carefully constructed truths, Juliet is a challenge, right?
She is.
She refuses to just accept the official narrative.
Yep.
Even when everybody else does,
Right.
she's like this glitch
She is?
in the system. Her determination to figure out what happened to Holston leads her to question
everything
she thought she knew.
It's a dangerous path.
About the silo.
Yeah.
But even when faced with danger and betrayal, she doesn't back down.
Nope.
What is it about Juliet?
Well, I think it's her pragmatism.
Okay.
You know, she's a mechanic.
Right.
Used to solving problems with her hands and her mind.
Right.
Remember how she escapes the flooded level?
Oh, yeah.
That was intense.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That wasn't just luck.
Right.
That was her ability to think critically.
Yeah.
And utilize the resources she had.
So smart.
Yeah, it really shows her adaptability and resourcefulness.
Totally. She doesn't just react to situations.
No.
She analyzes them.
Yeah.
And she finds a way out. It's that same analytical mind that allows her to see through all the lies. Yeah.
And the manipulation of those in power.
She's not your typical hero.
No.
She's a problem solver.
But she's not the only one who sees through the facade, right?
No, you're right.
We have Knox.
Yeah.
Who leads this whole uprising. He also senses that something is wrong.
He does. There's a deep unease there.
Yeah. And he's able to rally others to his cause.
He's a charismatic leader. But what I find interesting about Knox is his moral struggle.
Okay.
He recognizes that things need to change.
but he also grapples with the consequences of violence.
Right. Yeah.
You know, the potential for chaos.
So he's not just this, like, rebel without a cause.
No, he's thinking about the bigger picture.
He's thinking of the impact of his actions.
Exactly.
Which makes him a much more nuanced character.
Absolutely.
And then there's McLean,
the
the head of supply.
Right.
She's kind of caught between, like,
Yeah.
the established
Yeah.
order
Mm-hmm.
and the need for reform.
She's walking a tightrope.
McLean is a pragmatist at heart.
Yeah.
She understands the risks
Mm-hmm.
of challenging those in power.
Right.
But she also sees the need for change.
Yeah, like a more just system.
A more equitable system.
Mm-hmm.
And her decision to help Knox,
Yeah.
that's a turning point in this story.
Right.
She represents a shift in the balance of power.
Okay.
A recognition that change is necessary,
Wow.
even if it's dangerous.
So she's weighing the needs of the many
Yeah,
against this potential for, like, chaos.
exactly.
And then you have Marnes,
Oh, Mark.
the deputy sheriff,
Yeah.
who is just haunted
Mhm.
by his role in the death of Mayor Johns.
Right.
And his note.
It should have been me.
Oh, so powerful.
It's heartbreaking.
Such a powerful statement about, like, the moral weight that he carries.
He's carrying a lot of guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Marnes represents that internal conflict
Okay.
within the silo's power structure.
Okay.
He's complicit in a system that he knows is corrupt.
Yeah.
And it's eating him alive.
Yeah, it adds this whole layer of complexity to the idea of good versus evil.
Right. It's not so black and white.
He's not a villain,
No.
but he's not a hero either.
He's trapped,
Yeah.
like so many others,
Mm-hmm.
in this system that demands obedience, even when you know it's wrong.
So his struggle really highlights
Yeah.
the personal cost of living under this regime that just prioritizes control above all else.
Control at all costs.
But even amidst all this darkness and despair,
Yeah.
there are these glimmers of hope.
They're
Like Donald, in his quest to understand the Order's motives,
Mm-hmm.
finds his sister
Yeah.
in a cryopod.
Right.
It's like this reminder that even in this controlled world,
Yeah.
there's still these human connections.
Yeah.
Like these bonds that transcend the system.
It's a spark of humanity
Yeah.
in this very dehumanizing world.
And Donald's determination to protect his sister, to
Mm.
find a way to break free from the Order's grip.
Suggests that the cycle of control might not be as unbreakable
It gives you hope.
as it seems.
Yeah.
But what about the world outside the silo?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
We keep getting these hints
Right?
that it's not this toxic wasteland they've
Ah.
been led to believe.
Mhm.
Is there a chance for a future beyond the silos?
The excerpts offer these tantalizing clues,
They do.
but no real answers.
Not yet.
What we do know is that the Order has a plan.
Mm-hmm.
A long-term strategy.
Yeah, they're thinking long-term.
Involving cryogenics, a thaw,
Right.
and this very careful curation of history.
But their motives are still this big mystery.
They are shrouded in mystery.
It's like we're looking at a tapestry with missing threads.
Yeah.
We can kind of see the grand design, but we're missing these crucial pieces
We are.
of the puzzle.
And the way these excerpts are structured, jumping between different silos and timelines, just adds to the mystery. It does.
It really does.
The fragmented narrative kind of mirrors the limited knowledge of the characters themselves.
It does. We're experiencing the story through their eyes.
We're piecing together the truth alongside them.
Exactly.
But I think this narrative structure
Yeah.
also serves a deeper purpose.
Okay.
It forces us as
Period.
readers to engage with the material, to actively participate in the act of discovery.
It's not passive.
No.
It makes you think.
I like that. It's not just like this passive listening experience.
No, you have to work for it.
Yeah, we're constantly trying to connect the dots to make sense of this fragmented information.
Right.
And just when we think we have a grasp on things, a new piece emerges. And it challenges our assumptions.
Keeps us on our toes, constantly questioning what we think we know.
And amidst all the twists and turns, we start to see these recurring motifs that connect these seemingly disparate storylines.
They're all connected.
Like the cleaning.
Ah, the cleaning.
It's not just the ritual of sending people out to wipe down the sensors. Cleaning is everywhere.
It is.
In this world.
Yeah, it's more than just hygiene.
Right.
It's about control.
Yeah.
Erasing any trace of individuality, of deviation from the norm.
It's about maintaining that illusion of order and stability.
Exactly.
And then you have those spiral staircases.
Oh, the staircase
that connect all the different levels of the silo. They represent more than just a way to get around.
They do, don't they?
Right.
It's a descent, a journey into the unknown.
Or it could be a journey up.
That's true.
Depends on how you're looking at it.
Your perspective.
Yeah, and that perspective seems to be shifting.
It does, right.
Juliet is searching for answers.
Yeah, in Holston's files.
Donald's searching for meaning.
In his new role.
In his assigned role.
Yeah.
And humanity itself is searching for a future beyond these silos.
Beyond the confines.
The act of searching, of questioning, it becomes like an act of defiance.
It is.
In this world. It's like this refusal
Yeah.
to accept the limitations imposed upon them.
But it's dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
The more you learn,
Mm-hmm.
the more you realize
Yeah.
how deep the deception goes.
That's what makes this exploration so compelling, right?
It is.
We're not just following a story.
No.
We're grappling with the very nature of knowledge and its potential consequences.
It's a double-edged sword.
And these excerpts, they're so deliberately vague.
They are.
They leave us with more questions than answers.
Yeah, they keep you guessing.
It's like we're standing on the precipice
Okay.
of something much larger, something we can only kind of glimpse, but not fully comprehend.
Not yet.
It makes me wonder, are we as readers
Yeah.
in the same position as the characters?
Interesting question.
Are we also being manipulated,
Yeah.
fed this carefully curated version of the truth?
It's a possibility.
That's a question worth pondering.
It is.
But before we get too meta,
Okay.
we can't forget about Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy.
He's a child in Silo 1 who
Yeah.
stumbles upon this abandoned server room.
Yeah, it seems like a small detail, but I think it's significant.
You mean because he represents,
Innocence?
innocence and, a fresh perspective, not burdened by,
The indoctrination.
the silos indoctrination.
Exactly. Jimmy's fascination
Yeah,
with the technology, his attempts to communicate with other silos,
right.
that represents a natural curiosity
Yeah,
that hasn't been stifled
right.
by the system.
He's not afraid to explore, to ask questions, to challenge the accepted truth.
He's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and his youthful naivete
Mm-hmm.
could be the key
It could be.
to unlocking something
Right.
the adults have overlooked.
The adults are too jaded.
Yeah, he's like a wild card.
He is.
This unpredictable element in this carefully controlled world.
Exactly. And his existence suggests that
Yeah.
the Order's grip on information might not be as absolute
Right.
as they think it is.
Yeah.
Knowledge, like hope,
Yeah.
has a way of finding its way through the cracks.
This is getting deep.
It is.
We've gone from cleaning rituals
Mm-hmm.
to shadowy organizations to a kid messing around in a server room.
That's right.
And I feel like we're only just beginning
We are.
to unravel the true nature of this story.
There's more to come.
We're talking about kids messing around with computers and dystopian worlds where, like, even cleaning is a metaphor for control.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah, it's wild. But amidst all these, like, seemingly disparate details, a pattern emerges,
Yeah,
right?
like, there's definitely a pattern.
This, like, cyclical repetition of events across different silos.
Right, across generations.
Yeah, it's like history is repeating itself.
It is.
But within these, like, self-contained worlds.
Yeah, and what I find fascinating is that this repetition,
Yeah.
it isn't just about similar event happening. It's about the characters facing the same dilemmas, the same struggles against the system.
Like Juliet's defiance.
Yeah.
Her quest for truth, her fight against those in power. It's like it mirrors the struggles of those who came before her.
It does, and we see that in Shift and Dust.
Makes you wonder if true escape is even possible
That's the question, isn't it?
in this system.
Yeah, are they all just destined to play out variations of the same story, forever trapped in this loop of rebellion and suppression?
It's a question that really haunts this narrative, right?
It does. It's like, is free will even a thing in this world?
Right.
The Order, with their long-term planning, control over information,
Yeah.
it seems like they anticipated these cycles of rebellion,
Wow.
almost as if they're part of the design.
Like it's part of a plan.
Yeah, a grand design.
This idea of a designed future, as you mentioned earlier, that's where things get really unsettling.
It's a bit creepy, isn't it?
The fact that there are these caretakers, like Donald individuals chosen,
Yeah, to oversee specific silos.
suggests that the Order is playing a very long game.
Oh, absolutely.
They're not just thinking about survival.
No.
They're thinking about legacy, about controlling the destiny of humanity.
Generations into the future.
Which makes you question the value of individual lives
It does.
within this system.
Yeah, are they anything more than pawns in a game they don't even know they're playing?
That's the dilemma, right?
That's the big question.
The heart of this story. Like all these characters we've talked about, Juliet, Donald, Knox, Marnes, even Marnes,
Right.
they're all struggling for autonomy, for meaning.
For the right to choose.
Yeah, for the right to make their own choices.
But are those choices really their own? Or are they just playing out roles that were scripted by forces beyond their comprehension?
Yeah, it makes their struggles for freedom all the more poignant.
It does.
Knowing that the deck might be stacked against them.
Yeah, it's a tough reality.
From the start. But even with this overarching control, we see these glimmers of hope.
We do.
Right. These moments where the human spirit kind of pushes back.
Yeah, against the confines of this world.
Like Juliet's resilience, her ingenuity in the face of danger.
It's inspiring.
It's like a testament to the power of the individual. Her refusal to be a cog in the machine to carve out her own path.
Right.
Speaks to this, like, deeper human need for autonomy.
It does. It shows that we all crave freedom.
Yeah, and Donald's decision to protect his sister,
Right.
to go against the Order's directives, suggests that even those embedded within the system can find the strength to break free.
There's always hope.
His actions, though seemingly small, represent a crack in the Order's control.
A crack in the facade.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even in the most oppressive systems,
Right.
there are individuals who will fight for what they believe in.
Absolutely.
For the people they care about.
Force right.
And then you have Jimmy.
Jimmy.
The boy who stumbles upon the abandoned server room.
Right.
His story,
Yeah.
though seemingly separate from the main narrative,
Right.
offers this glimmer of hope.
It does.
A different
A
perspective.
fresh perspective.
Jimmy represents innocence, right?
He does.
This mind unburdened by the silo's propaganda.
Right.
His curiosity, his fascination with technology could be the key
It could be.
to unraveling the mysteries of this world.
He's a wild card.
He's a wild card.
Yeah.
A reminder that knowledge can be a powerful tool for change.
Absolutely.
His actions, however unintentional they may be, have the potential to disrupt the Order's plans.
To shake things up.
And his story also highlights the cyclical nature of history.
It does.
The server room, it's like a relic of a bygone era, represents lost knowledge, a connection to the past.
That could shed light on the present.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even in a world obsessed with control, the past has a way of resurfacing.
It does.
Of challenging the established narrative.
It always comes back to haunt us.
So after all this deep dive into the world of silos, what's the takeaway?
What does it all mean?
Yeah, what does it all mean?
Well, I think these excerpts offer a powerful cautionary tale.
Okay.
About the dangers of unchecked power.
So, the manipulation of information and the erosion of individual freedom.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
About the systems we live in.
Yeah.
The choices we make.
The future we're creating.
It's a story that stays with you long after you finish reading it.
It makes you think.
Yeah. And it forces us to ask ourselves, what would we do in their shoes?
Exactly. Would we just accept things as they are?
Yeah. Would we blindly accept the reality?
Or would we fight back?
It's presented to us? Or would we fight for the right to know the truth?
It's a choice we all have to make.
And it's a reminder that complacency can be just as dangerous as oppression.
It can.
That the quest for knowledge and the fight for autonomy are battles worth fighting.
They are. Always.
And even in the face of these like seemingly insurmountable odds, there's always hope.
There is.
Hope in the resilience of the human spirit.
The power of individual action.
The possibility of change.
And the possibility of change, however small or improbable it may seem.
Never give up hope.
So the next time you find yourself questioning the systems around you, remember the lessons.
Of the silo.
Of the silo.
Seek knowledge.
Yeah, challenge the narrative.
And never underestimate the power of your own voice.
Keep questioning, keep exploring, and never stop searching for those glimmers of hope in the darkness.
That's the key.